The Israeli military has expanded its raids in the occupied West Bank, sending tanks into the territory for the first time in over 2 decades. Tens of thousands of Palestinians have been forced to leave their homes in Jenin and nearby cities, and it was unclear when they would be able to return. Many homes have been bulldozed by the Israeli military, and the Israeli defense minister has ordered troops to prepare for a long-term stay.
Israeli tanks are advancing into the occupied West Bank for the first time in over 20 years. Israel has ordered the army to target Palestinian militant groups in the refugee camps of the northern West Bank.
We are operating in refugee camps in Jenin, in Tulkarem, in Nur Shams, in order to ensure that what happened will not repeat itself. We will continue to operate in any refugee camp and in any other place in the West Bank where terror raises its head. We will overcome the extremist Islamist terror of the Palestinian terror organizations and of those who support them.
The IDF began its operation last month after reaching a ceasefire agreement in Gaza after 15 months of war. At least 40,000 Palestinians have left their homes in Jenin and the nearby city of Tulkarem in the northern West Bank.
It's a dangerous situation. When the Israeli army storms the area, we have to flee.
According to the World Health Organization, at least 82 Palestinians were killed in the West Bank during the first 6 weeks of this year. The WHO expressed deep concerns over the violence and the impact of increasing attacks on healthcare facilities.
We see the current flashpoints of violence. We have seen attacks on the health since 2023, starkly rising in the West Bank. 737 health attacks since October 2023, 44 health attacks documented in the West Bank between the 1st of January and the 13th of January.
As Israeli forces demolish houses and infrastructure in the Jenin refugee camp, many Palestinians fear these tactics are aimed at permanently displacing their population.
Michael Lynk is a law professor at the Western University in London, Ontario, in Canada. He's also a former UN Special Rapporteur on the situation of human rights in the occupied Palestinian territories. Michael, thanks for joining us. Israel says it's fighting Palestinian militants in the West Bank. Can you give us a sense of who these militants are and why they pose such a threat to Israel?
Well, they've been around for some time. They're growing in numbers, in large part, because there is a growing political vacuum in the West Bank. The whole raison d'etre of the Palestinian Authority was to lead the Palestinians to a self-determination and a Palestinian state. Today, we are further away from a genuine Palestinian state and a two-state solution than ever. As the confidence in the political leadership of the Palestinian Authority winds up collapsing in the West Bank, you have this growing vacuum which is being filled by young militants who see likely no other choice but to take up arms, which are fairly plentiful in the West Bank, against the Israeli occupation. Remember, we're dealing with a 57-year-old Israeli occupation that is the longest in the modern world, and it shows no signs of ending. The Israeli Knesset has said there's going to be no Palestinian state that's emerging. So you see the kind of dashing of hopes that the Palestinians would finally be rid of the occupation. This is what winds up giving, if you like, political oxygen to these young militant groups.
We know that UN experts have warned that Israel is carrying out tactics employed in Gaza, now in the occupied West Bank. Could you tell us what is meant by that?
Well, we've seen for the first time the use of airplanes firing missiles into crowded refugee camps, particularly in the north of the West Bank, as your correspondent mentioned, in the Tulkarem, Nur Shams, and Jenin camps. We have over 40,000 Palestinians who have been displaced, whose homes have been destroyed. As well, we're seeing the wreckage of water, sewage lines, and electricity lines, which are meant to be the essentials for life in these camps. These 40,000 Palestinians are going to be gone, at least according to the foreign defense minister, for months at a time. And we don't know if they're ever going to be able to return to their homes in these camps. So we're beginning to see, if you like, the Gazavization, if we can use that term, of the West Bank, with the Israeli military turning its attention to rooting out these young militants, which I suspect will be a hopeless cause for the Israeli military.
Some observers say that now, with the Trump administration in place, the Israeli government is more open than ever about plans to annex the West Bank. Is that what we're seeing as the beginning of such an operation?
Yes, I mean, I think we're definitely headed on that path. Obviously, there was the opening with respect to forcibly displacing the 2.2 million Palestinians from Gaza and opening up the Riviera of the Middle East. That idea seems to have died, with the opposition being expressed by Egypt and by Jordan. And I suspect what Donald Trump was willing to give, if you like, as a consolation prize to the Israeli government, is to allow them to rapidly expand there are over 300 settlements and the settlement infrastructure, and to seriously consider annexing some or all of the West Bank. I think this is going to be on the political agenda of the Israeli government in its dealings with Washington in the months to come.
All right, that's Michael Lynk. He's former UN Special Rapporteur on the situation of human rights in the occupied Palestinian territories. Michael, we appreciate your time and your observations.
Thank you very much.